coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. Our guests got together with Will.I.Am and co-produced the Black Eyed Peas smash Mamacita. You'll meet Johnny Goldstein in just a second. But first, we invite you to enter the AUSOUNDS Global Giveaway. These are the headphone makers who make headphones for music creators, and you can be a winner. We're going to give away 4 pairs each week for a month. 2 winners will get the AUSOUNDS Airstream True Wireless earphones. 2 will get the Awflex Automatic Noise Canceling Wireless Neckband earphones. 4 each week, 2 and 2. So here's how you enter. Go to pensadosplace.tv/AweSounds. Fill out all the information and you are good. To be eligible, all you have to do is be 18 years old, and this contest is good all over the globe. Wherever you are, enter and enter quickly. Here's how we'll announce. We'll announce on Pensado's Place each week through our social media channels and through AweSounds social media channels. Get going. 4 winners each week. You got a great chance. And we at the team have these headphones and we like them a lot. So get busy. Also, like and subscribe, click notify, sign up for our newsletter, and hit us up on our socials if you would. We know we appreciate that. Got a special shop talk for you from the Abbey Road Institute in the beautiful ArtHouse Academy from Miami. Check it out.
Hey guys, welcome to ArtHouse Academy and Abbey Road Institute, Miami.
Hello. Welcome to Studio B. This is our new studio. We have this beautiful Stanway. A Woodlitzer, the famous Woodlitzer. Gibson guitars, beautiful stuff. And acoustics. This is a beautiful room. And this is the control room. SSL Origin, brand new one too. And we are ready to roll and to enjoy this with you guys.
Again, this right here is currently our office area, but it's going to become the classroom, which is going to have all of the computers here, all of the workstations. It's going to be great.
Welcome to the piano room. Believe it or not, a lot of amazing songs were born in this room. You're gonna love it. It has the shape of a piano, and you can fit a small orchestra. Super amazing, has connection to the patio. Really nice space. You guys are gonna love it here.
Hi, and welcome to our kitchen. This is where you can have lunch and coffee and just relax.
Hey, welcome to Studio A. This is where everything was born. This was the first studio here, and it's been the house of a lot of songs and a lot of artists, great artists from all over the world. Really love coming here. So I'm blessed. We're blessed to have created this beautiful environment where you can be free and the artist feels great.
Now, here's our conversation all the way from Israel with the very talented Johnny Goldstein. Johnny, what's happening?
What's up?
What's up, buddy?
So good to be
see
here.
you. Good to see you.
And
Great
Johnny,
to meet you.
one of the things that is always enlightening for us when we get a chance to do it is to find out about other music scenes. You are part of the Israeli music scene. You're there right now. You're in your home studio, which, audience, just so that you know, he is on the beach and it's peaceful and it's beautiful. And I'm in Woodland Hills. So there's a big difference. But tell us about the Israeli music scene, its influences, what people listen to, where's it going?
So Israeli music scene is a bit all over the place in a way that you don't have so many genres that you can really define, like this is those act doing reggaeton, those act doing hip hop. Like it's a beat mix of everything. Mm-hmm. Also, the radio is like that. Like you can hear on the main radio, you can hear alternative music from the 80s, then something from now, then something super like ethnic. Like it's super eclectic.
And does that as a person, does that make it more stimulative for you? Because you don't have any rules. You can play whichever way you want to play.
I think it's work for both ways, because if you want to try to do a specific genre with artists, it can be tricky because you don't have this scene, right? Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's totally free. You can do whatever, and it can be a hit. So it's a bit different from other countries. Mm-hmm. And I think this thing helped me to play with a lot of different genres. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. So I'm super glad to born and raised here.
If you look at the charts right now, The Baby is number 8, and Roddy Ricch is on there, and Drake's on there. And there's about 3 or 4 in the top 15. There's about at least 3 American songs there. So I found that slightly disappointing and slightly good. I don't know which way to go. I was hoping that the influence on a great country's music.
I think the international music that's coming to Israel, it's the main one. You can hear all of the biggest acts that working in the States and in Europe. You can hear it too, but I think the local music it's work a bit different.
Now, how did you make your way to working with Black Eyed Peas and Will.I.Am and team? So
few years ago, I was signed with a band I had to Polydor France. Mm-hmm. And the ENA that signed us back then called Ganael Gigi. Mm-hmm. And after we stopped doing this band, but I still worked on some stuff with Gigi. Mm-hmm. And 3 years ago, he called me and said that the Black Eyed Peas coming to a writing camp in Paris, if I want to join. Mm. So I took a flight and came to this camp and met the guys. And then last summer, I text Will that I'm if you're looking for some new beats. Mm-hmm. And I sent him beats, and then in October I came to LA and text him that I'm around and if you wanna meet. Mm-hmm. So we met in his studio, and since then we're working FaceTime every day.
Oh, and have a big hit with Mamacita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I found, because I met Will maybe when Dave was at Enterprise, and it was back in those days. And I always found, and he did some work, I always found that Will lifted people around him who worked with him. Somehow his talent made you better. Is that fair to say?
So fair to say. I feel like on those last few months that we working together, I'm way more better producer than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
In like sound wise, songwriting wise, structure wise, it's like he's doing that. He's doing this magic.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dylan Dresdo, who mixes all the Peace stuff. I did a lot of the early stuff. I think I did all but one song on the second album. But Will's my boy. I like Will so much. I've learned so much from him. He's a genius and brilliant. Describe a typical collaboration with Will, long distance style, if you will, because Will knows what he wants, and he really knows what he wants. And so sometimes you have to fit into what he wants, and then he's always open for good ideas and new ideas. How like start me when you get to the studio, when you get to your studio and he gets to his. How does that work? And explain it in such a way that it shows the rest of us how to work with this particular moment in time in collaborations.
First of all, I think you described it super well, because he's really know what he want to get, and at the same time he super open to hear new ideas, different ideas, and the song is not done till it's like you can always bring another idea, because if it's better idea from what we had already, it will win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is one way that we collaborate, Will and I. Because some song started before I met him, so we already had the vocals to work with. Some tracks started from an idea that we starting back and forth on FaceTime. Mm-hmm. Some ideas started from a beatbox that he's sending me, and I'm working on the beat, and then send him stuff he working on that, and then send me over. So it's like there is a lot of different ways that we worked on this album.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the idea with him is that you don't have one, like there is no one way. There is no one way to do this song, or there is no one way for this progression, or for this structure. Like everything is open till it feels right and done.
Did you send him the Isla Bonita Madonna loop, or did he?
So Mamacita started from he texted me the other day. Let's try to flip this song, and I started to work on a beat here, and send it to him, and then it was just back and forth for a long time on the beat. I think then when we nailed the beat, he made the hook, and from that point all the writing started.
Okay.
Now, now as a musician, what is are keyboards your main thing?
So I started as a drummer.
Ah, that's right, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I can play piano, but I can't say that I'm a keyboard player or pianist. And for now, my Ableton is my instrument. I'm not playing anything. Most of the time I'm also programming by hand, the drums, the pianos, everything. Like
is that how you compose? Is that how you write as well?
Most of the time. I mean, I'm also a lot of time I'm finding the progressions on the keyboard,
mm-hmm.
but the keys or the bass that on the records, most of the time I'm typing them, I'm programming them.
Mm-hmm. The part of what's so interesting about the information that informs you is that you've applied it in commercial campaigns, and as I look and listen to those, there's a Johnny Goldstein through line through them all.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad to say that. I didn't know I have like
and it's subtle, but it's energy, and there's at least a tip of the cap to dance and movement and sort of power in it that I thought was really interesting, because and I'd like you to discuss it. The process of doing music for commercials or television oriented projects are really committee based. There's lots of cooks in the kitchen, correct?
Yeah, and it's totally different. I think it's totally different from making pop music to do commercials and to do scores. But at the same time, it's the idea that something needs to shine. And I think when you're producing a song, it's kind of the same. You need the song should be shine, the singer should be the best. And in commercials and in scoring, the main thing, it's not you. You know what I mean? Like the scene should be this specific moment that should be the best for this. Yeah.
That makes sense because some of my favorite artists, Luther Vandross, started doing jingles in Chicago, and Barry Manilow. You might laugh at him, but he's a billionaire because of all the hits and all the jingles he did. And I think they have I think if you can write a jingle, you're more apt to write a melody that can reach an audience. And if you think about it, a song is just an advertisement for an artist, and a jingle is just an advertisement for a product. So
yeah,
they're pretty well related.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
So
Yeah.
now in the ever layered career of Johnny Goldstein, you also have done. You've been a television judge of talent, and we also share a little bit of theatrical stuff, which we'll go to in a second. But one of the things about that is no matter what the artifice of television is, you're still evaluating talent, right?
Yeah.
You're still, and sometimes the artifice of television makes it worse for you and worse for the talent, but you still have to. Is that correct?
Yeah, big time.
Talk about the process.
I think first of all, it was pretty long time ago. Those two TVs that I did. Nowadays, I feel super comfortable in this studio. I mean, I'm trying to not be at the front as I used to be. I feel more like this is my house. This is my thing to be like under my computer and doing that. But I think when I did that, it still was kind of the same idea. I like to be in the studio and try to work with artists and try to bring them to the best, but just in a different format. Like try to find the spots for those artists, trying to find the X factor on those singers. And I think it's part of the thing to be a producer is to find those moments in takes, find those moments in new artists that you want to work with and then that not famous yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of the same but in a different angle.
Can you describe how I can't say I'm really familiar with all of the music in Israel, but being around several Israelis who were contributing, like Tal Hertzberg, who I know you miss and I miss, I was exposed to a lot of Israeli music. Israeli music has a lot of emotion, and like Herb said, for a while it was more influenced by EDM. Right now, I'm hearing reggaeton. I'm hearing all kinds of things in Israeli music. And how would you say that living in Israel and growing up in Israel has given you, what kind of advantage has that given you, and what's been the disadvantage that you felt from it, if any?
I think the idea that right now I feel comfortable to jump into genres that I'm not familiar yet.
Mhm.
I feel comfortable to do that because I worked on so many different genres. So I think I know how to try and learn what works in this genre and what is the rules in this genre and how to do it. And I think big part of that is because Israel is so eclectic. And you can hear so many different influence in the music. You can hear Arabic music, local Israeli Arabic music in a way, dance music, of course. You can hear all the hot songs that going on right now on the Hot 100. You can hear it too. And I'll also in my house, my father played a lot of jazz and classical music, and tons of Dr. Dre.
Your dad played like a lot of Dr. Dre?
Yeah, and he's a huge fan of Kendrick Lamar. So I think all of those is part of my production influences and the stuff that make my sound my sound.
Are you a technology guy?
Yeah, I think so.
So, what are your favorite plugins? What are you using these days to make the music you like?
First of all, I'm in Ableton, so
Gotcha.
Most of the stuff is Ableton products. Also, I'm using a lot of Waves plugins.
That's really company.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a home team thing.
Yeah. A lot of good people here.
Yeah.
Fog Filter is something that I'm always like. I don't have any track that don't have tons of Pro 3 and the MB plug. Sound Toys, always Decapitator on every bass.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely. And also, when you were in the group, when you guys were signed to Polygram, it was a vocal duo, right? So are vocals a big part of? Is that a focus for you when you do your productions and so forth?
On the Young Professional project, I was on the production side. I didn't sing.
I see. Got it.
But it was kind of an electro duo band with the singer and producer.
Got it. I see. And what's the future hold? You got? Is it projects from around the world, or you stay there? Is it American stuff? Is it what do you desire? What's in your bucket list to do?
I think to do everything all the way. Like I wanna keep doing stuff here, of course. But I want to do more and more stuff like that, because I think the translation album is the biggest thing I ever did.
And congratulations on that. That's really cool.
Thanks so much.
And the reason I say that, just to build out the point a little bit, as we talked about Will, and certainly you and Dave know him better than me, although I've had a fair amount of interaction with him. He wouldn't continue to work with somebody who wasn't stimulating him as well. Like it says a lot about you that he wants to work with you as much, and he's very selective and should be. So kudos to you, man. I think that's a great thing. Absolutely.
Can you tell me a couple of American producers that were very influential on you, and then surprise me with a couple of foreign producers that I might not know?
Wow.
That helped you in terms of inspiration.
Now, before you answer that, Johnny, the good part about the foreign question is you could just make shit up, and we
yeah,
try new names.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do it all the time. So give me who inspired you when you were coming along as a producer and a songwriter?
So I think the main one always was Will.I.Am, big time. Dr. Dre,
Really?
Timbaland, Pharrell Williams, of course. I think when I started to do music, that was always the main people that I looked up. Max Martin, of course, I always huge fan of the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video going around where they broke down an Ariana Grande song by him? Rick Beato did it. It's like,
no idea.
I'll send it to you. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible what that man
Crazy
does.
genius.
That counts as a foreign guy. So yeah, for sure. I've worked with all three of those. Well, I have worked with Max Martin, but I worked with Will and Pharrell and Timbaland, and they're all so different, but they all emphasize groove and feel, and they all have it. It's like Timbaland, Will, Pharrell. There's one thing when you listen to their stuff, you got to move something in your body, and they just grab you. They just know how to just grab you by the throat and slap you around, throw you on the ground, and stomp on your neck with a song. I mean, they just got that ability, you know.
Big time. I think it's also that it's always unique and still familiar, and the way that I think especially Will, the idea that it's familiar to your ears, but at the same time it's so unique always. It's magic for me.
In your work, are there ever language barriers or other things you have to work around? Working with an Zoom, does that ever come into play where somebody is communicating on behalf of somebody else because they don't necessarily speak the same language?
I think first of all, the collaboration with the featuring artist on the album was the guy, like the
right.
Will.I.Am and Taboo worked with them. So I wasn't in this in this process.
Gotcha.
So most of the process was with Will, Taboo, and App. I think still, because of my English, I still need to sometimes explain myself twice. But I feel like because music is the thing, it's always like if I didn't know how to explain what I'm meaning in words, I always like, okay, wait a second, let me try to do that and then tell me what you think.
Well, the good news, if you ever want to just have your language verified, just come on our show. And as we stumble and stutter and mess everything up, you'll seem like a linguist from the best universities in the world. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Everything you said, Herb, is my contributions to the show. You are an amazing.
I'm Canadian, so I don't count. So,
good or bad for Canada?
When you're producing, that relationship with the singer, you know what I mean? In this environment, are you having to produce with distance and through collaboration and being careful? How do you manage that process?
So I think in this album, it was my first time. I had a lot of songs I worked on that we worked on the music, just on the music, even without vocals. Even when there was vocals, we'll really believe on working on the music, so the beat can be solid like that, just the beat. And that was my first experience in this kind of work process. And now I'm doing that all the time. Now, I feel like if I'm muting the vocals right now and the beat is not working by himself, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I got you.
And at the same time, if the beat is talking too much, it's taking from the vocals. So it's a play that I think we tried when we worked on this album and on those tracks, we try to make the beats good as beats, but at the same time to shine the vocals and to make the vocals the best.
And today's music requires it. You know, that's that house, and particularly if you have you ever done rap projects? Were you working with rappers?
Just in Israel. I started from that. Like when I was super young, when I was 12, my first collaboration with the hip hop band called Adag Nachash from Israel.
You know, when I saw you when the screen came on, I knew you were hip hop. You had that hip hop. So
I grew up on that. I mean, all my I feel like my real music roots is hip hop. Even when I'm not doing hip hop, it's always from that
perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you go through your music, it's one of the elements that's informative, and it's somehow you're able to take a hip hop root and an energy and a kind of a dance thing, and it becomes the Johnny Goldstein thing, and it's pretty cool. That's at least what I felt when I listened to it.
I love it.
It was super cool.
I think for me the drums is always like the best thing, and should be the louder, and snare 2 dB too much. Everything with the drums is a bit too much. I think this is the main thing.
I love it.
Yeah, we're getting louder snares right now, louder hi-hats and louder snares, thanks to Jason and a few other people. In terms of your mixing, are you earning a living with mixing? Do you charge for that, or do you mix in terms of your own work? You're mixing your own work. Do you do any outside mixing?
Not really. I did few, but most of the time, when I'm mixing my productions, it's because I'm so used to mix my production, okay. And I'm not really taking other stuff that just for the mix, because I don't think this is my forte. I think I'm good mixer, but I don't think this is my main thing. When I'm mixing my productions, I feel like it's kind of the same. It's kind of the part of the process of the production. I don't have the time that, okay, now let's mix the song. I don't have it in my work.
I think excuse me, Herb, but this is really important to say. I think that's an important thing that you just said, Johnny. Mixers should always be brought into the situation and take control and take it to another level. Everybody knows that.
Of course, you'd say that. But along with that important point that Dave just made, the one thing that we keep seeing from our guests, whereas a while back it was a question of a specialist handing off to a specialist, handing off to a specialist, handing off to a specialist. Now it's just a continuum, and you're kind of picking up along the way, and you're adding your part of the recipe to the thing, and then it's passed on to the but everybody's got a little bit of everything else in it, and somehow at the end of that process that makes it come together. And it's really, in my view, as a manager and from the show's perspective, the new paradigm is that you have to be able to do that in the process, not that other thing. And the fun part, I think, is that, in this current climate, if you're in the spaces we're in, depending on where you are in it, we actually have some advantages because we digitally message, we work online, we're safe, we can socially distance, so on and so forth. But we're also in a constant evolving revolution, technological revolution. Whatever, next week will be different than 2 weeks ago. And if you don't adapt and stay on the lip of the wave, you're just going to get left behind. So it's both exciting because it's open to more people, but also you got to keep up. Like you can't get lazy about it.
I agree.
You agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I also think that there isn't one way. Like it's great that you have songs that need few hands to work on them. It's great that you have songs that need just one guy that doing everything. I think the idea that it's open and it's as long as it's good for the song. This is the main thing. Like if it will be better to mix by this guy, let's do that. And if it's better to leave it like that and not touch anything, and if it's better to master that but not mix that, I think the idea that it's open, this is the main thing, because there is no one way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like open source technology. You can
exactly
right. Yeah,
exactly.
And we've had to learn that on the show as well too. There was one way to do this show, and while the end result may look that way, how we get to things now is different. But it's also, I think it's exhilarating. I mean, I think the opportunity to be in this game, the blessing of being able to continue to make a living at it while so many other people are suffering, but also to serve people and enlighten them and say, look, you have tools, you can take this phone and do amazing things with it and move the ball forward. And I think that's a little bit now our responsibility as people are working in it, to make sure that we're paying it forward and showing people that there's opportunity out there.
I agree. I can say that No Mañana
absolutely
started from a beat that will send me this bass line.
Yeah.
On an app that he made that bass line.
Nice.
So you can do whatever. Those days it's pretty crazy.
That worked out pretty well. Yeah, absolutely. Now we've got to. Go ahead, Dave.
Do you think you'll ever move to Los Angeles? And if you do, what do you think the difference in your creativity will be? We want you here, by the way. I talked to everybody in LA, and they said, "Got to get Johnny here."
I want to be more and more in LA. I don't know if to move to LA will be the thing, or just be to do back and forth Israel LA. But definitely I want to be more and more in LA, because I feel still there is so much opportunities and great people to work with and great talent to work with. So yeah, I hope this situation will finish soon.
And call us to make sure you get a traffic report before you come over, because that's all that's happening. Now, in the interim, what will keep you stimulated is our little fun game called Batter's Box. And Dave has not been up against many international players, so we expect this to be global in its impact, and you're carrying the weight of a nation on your shoulders, Johnny. So,
wow! I must say I'm pretty obvious, but let's try. I will try my best.
It's gonna be great. All right, Dave, fire up.
Okay, here we go. Vocals.
The Omni plug by Chef's Waves.
Bass.
All the CLA bass. I think it depends. If it's 808, it will be just saturation of the Ableton. If it's live bass, it will be CLA bass.
Thank you for killing my next question, which was 808s.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's all right. Microphone.
I don't think I have specific one to say. I'm not good with models of microphones, and I think I will let the engineers to decide that.
That's smart. That's really well said. Your favorite BPM to work at?
I think right now it's 105 all the way. Thanks
All
to
right.
Will. 105, 105. Most of the album is 105.
Yeah. Most of the album has a slight reggaeton.
Yeah.
Loops.
Wow, that's a hard one. I think if I'm using like loops that already made, it will be just to crack it and try to
you like using them.
Break it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Live instruments.
I think Pro 3 for everything. It's always like helped me to control the stuff. And then if it's piano, mostly will be the compression of the Ableton. If it's strings, I'm always going to the J37, I think, the Abbey Road and Waves. I'm addicted to this one. So it's kind of depends on which instrument, but it's changing.
Okay, and what's the least expensive piece of gear that you've used on a record that made it out into the public? What's the least expensive piece of gear you've used to make a record?
I think Ableton. Like Ableton, you have everything. You don't need anything beside that. You just need the software, and you can do whatever. I think all the other plugins is when you work in this weird sequencer. You don't need much, and I saw other producer that saying the same thing with Ableton, because it's part of this plastic kind of sound of this software. So I'm saying plastic in a good way. So I would say I would say after you have this software, you don't need anything, but it's great that you have if you need.
I agree. So I'll concede defeat. You beat me. But going back to Ableton, there's a lot of great plugins in Ableton, because when I mix and I said, what was that? What was that? I've never heard that before. And it's usually a stock Ableton plugin. There's some really good stuff in that. Yeah. We've got so many great tools nowadays.
Big time. It's endless. I'm always have like the time that, oh my God, I'm buying this new plugin, and then after 1 month max, I'm going back to all the other one that I already worked with, because I don't think it's you need to get those stuff, because I think there is some important updates sound wise that it's great to have, but at the same time it's tools. So if you can do the best with Ableton EQ.
But I think you also make another interesting point, which may be a great point to wrap everything up on. Sometimes you have to know when too much is too much. Mm-hmm. You know, it's one thing to have everything, and it can bog down your process. You know, if you know what works for you and gets the best out of you, and so on and so forth, don't be afraid to rely on that and go to where you go. It doesn't mean don't explore and don't expand your knowledge or your tools, but don't let your tools control you and you think more is better. That's not always the case.
I think also for me, it's sometimes hard to have too many options. Like if you have too many options of tapes, instead of just going because I want a tape sound on that, it will be just the thinking of, okay, which tape will be the best, which is good, but it's confusing. And I think the idea to use just few tools as the main thing, it's for me, it's helping to be fast and to move fast and be specific and quick, and not wasting time on thinking.
Yeah, the goal is to be free, not to be paralyzed.
Exactly.
Right, you got to be able to go get it. And look, before Dave takes us home, just know that Dave and I are available to come to Israel and speak and hang out with a bunch of crews. Just Let one of the
Let's
schools
do it.
know.
I'm sure everyone will be happy to do that. Like
We'll be on
everyone is big fans of the show.
we'll be on a plane. We got masks. We got hazmat suits. We got we'll come and what a fascinating trip that would be. And thank you so much, one, for the contributions that you're making and the stuff that you're working. I expect to hear great things coming from you in the future. But also, it's so good to have a real look inside a community that we don't know that much about, and because it informs us and allows us to represent it better. And Israel should be proud. We certainly are. And great stuff.
Thanks so much, man. I'm so glad to be in this show and meeting you. And I'm a huge fan for this show of you. So I'm super thankful.
As we are. Dave, why don't you take us home?
Okay, I heard mentioned earlier about economy and not trying to do too much. And right now, I think as we are in this moment in time, me personally, I don't like to hear too much clutter in my mixes anymore. Give me a bass, a kick drum, a snare, some hi-hats, and one or two tracks. I'm starting to have too much time to think on my hands, and that's not ever a good thing for a creative person. And so the economy, I think, that we need to approach music with now is more proper than ever. And then in terms of the complexity and the amount of plugins we have, I'm blessed to know and see and actually have helped some people learn that are having a lot of success now. And part of what I've noticed is the simplicity with which they approach plugins. One of my favorites, obviously, is Jason Joshua, one of my dear friends, and he uses a lot of stock plugins. He uses a lot of advanced plugins too, but you don't always need to overthink and make. You don't need 2,000 plugins to do a mix. You can do it with 4 plugins: a reverb, a delay, a compressor, and an EQ. And start from there and build out. And in terms of loading your templates up with everything, I don't think that's the world we live in right now. Simplicity is the ground that creativity can grow better in. So I'm glad Herb brought that up. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Much love.